August 6, 1962. 7:15 a.m. 5th Helena Drive, Brentwood. FBI agent James O'Brien stood in Marilyn Monroe's bedroom, wearing latex gloves, carefully searching through her personal belongings. Marilyn had been dead for less than 6 hours. The official investigation hadn't even started yet. But O'Brien wasn't there to investigate her death. He was there to find something specific, something the FBI had been looking for since May. Photographs. Compromising photographs of President John F. Kennedy and Attorney General Robert Kennedy. Photographs that could destroy the most powerful family in America. O'Brien found what he was looking for in a hidden safe behind a painting in Marilyn's closet. Inside, a manila envelope containing 14 photographs. When O'Brien opened the envelope and saw the first photo, he whispered one word: Jesus. The photos showed exactly what the FBI feared. The Kennedy brothers in situations that proved their affairs with Marilyn weren't just rumors. They were documented evidence. O'Brien placed the envelope in a briefcase, locked it, and prepared to leave. But what he didn't know was that those 14 photos weren't the only copies. The photographer who took them had kept backup negatives, and 55 years later, those negatives would surface in the most unexpected way. Let's go back. May 1961. Marilyn Monroe hired a private photographer named William Reed, not for publicity shots, for insurance. Mr. Reed, I need you to document something for me, but it has to stay completely confidential. What kind of documentation? I'm involved with some very powerful men, and I need proof of that involvement, in case they try to hurt me. What kind of proof? Photographs of me with them, in situations that prove the relationships are real. Reed understood. This was blackmail insurance. If the powerful men turned on Marilyn, she'd have evidence to protect herself. Miss Monroe, this is dangerous work. I know. That's why I'm paying you $5,000. Cash, no records, no receipts, just you, me, and the camera. Reed agreed. But here's where everything changes. Because over the next 14 months, Reed would photograph Marilyn with both Kennedy brothers in situations that were never meant to be seen. May 1961 to July 1962. Reed became Marilyn's shadow photographer. When JFK visited her house, Reed was hidden in the guest room with a telephoto lens. When Bobby Kennedy met Marilyn at Peter Lawford's beach house, Reed was in the neighboring property with a camera. When Marilyn attended private parties with the Kennedys, Reed posed as catering staff. He captured everything: JFK and Marilyn kissing on her patio at 2 a.m., Bobby Kennedy leaving Marilyn's bedroom at dawn. The three of them, JFK, Bobby, and Marilyn, at a private dinner where Marilyn sat between both brothers. Intimate moments. Undeniable proof of affairs that both Kennedys publicly denied. After each session, Reed developed the photos in his private darkroom. He gave one set to Marilyn, and he kept backup negatives locked in a fireproof safe in his studio. Insurance for insurance, he told himself. By July 1962, Reed had documented 14 separate occasions, 14 photographs that proved beyond doubt that Marilyn Monroe was intimately involved with both Kennedy brothers. Don't miss this detail. Because Marilyn was planning to use those photos on July 15th, 1962. Marilyn called Reed. I need you to make extra copies of all 14 photos. Why? Because Bobby's trying to end things. He's threatening me. Says if I talk to anyone about our relationship, I'll regret it. So, you're going to show him the photos? I'm going to remind him that I have proof, that if anything happens to me, these photos go public. Marilyn, that's blackmail. No, that's survival. These men have been using me for over a year, promising me things, lying to me. Now Bobby wants to just walk away like I never existed? I don't think so. Reed made copies. 3 sets, one for Marilyn, one for her lawyer, one backup that Reed kept in his safe. If anything happens to me, Marilyn told Reed, make sure these photos get out. Make sure people know the truth. Nothing's going to happen to you. Marilyn smiled sadly. You don't know these people like I do. You're not going to believe what happened 3 weeks later. August 4th, 1962. 7:30 p.m. Marilyn's house. Bobby Kennedy arrived, unannounced, angry. Marilyn, we need to talk. About what? About the fact that you've been threatening me, telling people you have evidence of our relationship. I do have evidence. Show me. Marilyn went to her closet, opened the hidden safe, pulled out the manila envelope. Bobby's face went white as she showed him the photographs. Where did you get these? I had them taken. Insurance. In case you or your brother decided to destroy me. This is blackmail. This is protection. You threatened me first, Bobby. You said I'd be dealt with if I talked. Well, these photos are my guarantee that you won't deal with me. Bobby grabbed the envelope. I'm taking these. Those are copies. I have more. And if anything happens to me, they all go public, to every newspaper in America. Bobby stared at her. You've made a terrible mistake. He left with the envelope. That was the last time anyone saw Marilyn Monroe alive. Hold up. Because 8 hours later, the FBI was searching Marilyn's house for those photos. August 5th, 1962. 3:50 a.m. 2 hours after Marilyn was declared dead, FBI agents, led by James O'Brien, entered Marilyn's house. Their mission was specific. Find and destroy all copies of the Kennedy photographs. They found the hidden safe, empty. Bobby had taken the envelope, but they kept searching. Under her mattress, nothing. In her desk drawers, letters, bills, but no photos. In her filing cabinet, scripts, contracts, nothing relevant. For 3 hours, they searched. Finally, O'Brien called his supervisor. Sir, we've searched everywhere. The photos aren't here. Kennedy said she had multiple copies. If she did, they're not in this house. Keep looking. But they never found them, because the backup copies weren't in Marilyn's house. They were in William Reed's studio safe. Don't miss this revelation, because Reed knew exactly what happened to Marilyn August 5th, 1962. 10 a.m. Reed heard about Marilyn's death on the radio. Marilyn Monroe found dead in her Brentwood home, apparent suicide from overdose. Reed felt his blood turn cold. Suicide? Impossible. He talked to Marilyn 2 days ago. She was angry, determined, fighting, not suicidal. Then he remembered. The photos. She'd threatened Bobby Kennedy with those photos, and now she was dead. Reed went to his studio. The backup negatives were still in his safe. 14 photographs that proved Marilyn had been involved with both Kennedys. 14 photographs that could explain why she died. Reed thought about going to the police. But then he thought about what happened to people who threatened the Kennedys. They died. So Reed made a decision. He would hide the negatives. Keep them secret. Maybe forever. Because staying alive was more important than telling the truth. This is where everything changes. Because Reed kept those negatives hidden for 55 years. 1962 to 2017. William Reed never told anyone about the photographs. He watched the Warren Commission investigate JFK's assassination in 1963. He watched Bobby Kennedy get assassinated in 1968. He watched decades of conspiracy theories about Marilyn's death, and he stayed silent. In 1995, a Marilyn biographer contacted him. Mr. Reed, I understand you worked as Marilyn's photographer in 1961 and 1962. Can you tell me about that? Just standard publicity shots. Nothing special. Did you ever photograph her with President Kennedy? No. Never met him. Reed lied. Because the fear never went away. Even decades later, even with both Kennedys dead, Reed was terrified. What if there were still people protecting the Kennedy legacy? What if revealing the photos put his family in danger? So he kept quiet. The negatives stayed locked in his safe. Untouched, hidden. A secret that would die with him. Or so he thought. You won't believe how those photos finally came to light. March 2017. William Reed died at age 93. Natural causes, heart failure. His daughter, Patricia Reed, inherited his estate, including his photography studio. Patricia spent weeks going through her father's belongings. Equipment, old photos, business records. Then she found the safe. Old, heavy, locked. She hired a locksmith to open it. Inside, camera equipment, old invoices, and a large sealed envelope marked MM 1961-1962, do not open. Patricia's hands shook as she opened the envelope. Inside, 14 photographic negatives and a handwritten letter from her father. Patricia, if you're reading this, I'm dead. These negatives are photographs I took of Marilyn Monroe with President John F. Kennedy and Attorney General Robert Kennedy between 1961 and 1962. Marilyn hired me to document her relationships with both men as insurance against them hurting her. 3 weeks after I took the last photo, Marilyn was dead. The FBI searched her house for these photos. They never found them because I had the negatives. I kept them hidden for 55 years because I was afraid. Afraid of what the Kennedy family would do to me. Afraid of what the government would do. But now I'm gone. And you need to decide what to do with these. You can destroy them and let the secret die. Or you can reveal them and finally tell the truth about Marilyn's death. Whatever you choose, be careful. These photos are dangerous. They always have been. Your father, William Reed. Patricia held the negatives up to the light. Even as negatives, she could see what they showed. Intimate moments. Undeniable proof. She had a choice to make. April 2017. Patricia contacted a journalist she trusted, Michael Torres, investigative reporter for the Los Angeles Times. Mr. Torres, I have something you need to see. She showed him the negatives and her father's letter. Torres stared at the images. These are extraordinary. If authentic, they prove Marilyn was involved with both Kennedys. My father's letter explains everything. Are you prepared for what happens if we publish these? The Kennedy family will fight back. They'll claim they're fake. I know. But my father kept this secret his whole life out of fear. I don't want to live in fear. The truth should come out. Torres arranged authentication. Forensic photo experts examined the negatives. These negatives are authentic. Film stock from 1961, 1962. No evidence of digital manipulation. Camera techniques consistent with period photography. Based on our analysis, these photos are genuine. Next, they needed to verify identities. Facial recognition analysis compared the people in the photos to known images of JFK, Bobby Kennedy, and Marilyn Monroe. Identity matches. John F. Kennedy, 97.8% certainty. Robert F. Kennedy, 96.4% certainty. Marilyn Monroe, 99.2% certainty. The photos were real. Hold on. Because when Torres prepared to publish, the Kennedy family made one final attempt to stop him. May 2017. Before publication, Torres contacted the Kennedy family for comment. 2 days later, he received a phone call from a lawyer. Mr. Torres, I represent the Kennedy family estate. We understand you possess certain photographs that you intend to publish. I'm planning to publish a story about photos taken in 1961 and 1962, yes. Those photos, if they exist, are private property. Publishing them would violate privacy rights. The subjects of the photos are all deceased, and the photos document a matter of historical and public interest. Mr. Torres, the Kennedy family is prepared to offer you $500,000 for those negatives and your agreement not to publish. Torres was shocked. You're trying to buy the evidence? We're offering fair compensation for private materials. The answer is no. Mr. Torres, I would strongly advise you to reconsider. The Kennedy family has considerable resources. Is that a threat? It's advice from a lawyer who wants to help you avoid a very expensive lawsuit. Torres hung up. The Kennedy family was scared, which meant the photos were even more important than he'd thought. Don't miss what happened when the photos were finally published. June 15, 2017. Los Angeles Times front page. Marilyn's blackmail photos. Evidence of Kennedy affairs finally revealed after 55 years. The article included 3 of the 14 photographs, carefully chosen to prove the affairs while maintaining some dignity for all involved. Photo 1. JFK and Marilyn on her patio, kissing, dated August 1961. Photo 2. Bobby Kennedy exiting Marilyn's house at dawn, dated March 1962. Photo 3. JFK, Bobby and Marilyn at a private dinner. Marilyn seated between both brothers, all 3 laughing, dated December 1961. The remaining 11 photos were described but not published. Too intimate, too explicit. The story included William Reed's letter, authentication reports, and Patricia Reed's first-person account. The response was immediate and explosive. Within 24 hours, the story was global news. Major networks, international press, everyone covered it. The Kennedy family released a statement. These photos, if authentic, represent a gross invasion of privacy. They were taken without consent and kept hidden for unethical purposes. We condemn their publication. But historians saw it differently. These photos provide critical evidence in understanding Marilyn Monroe's death. She had blackmail material on the most powerful family in America. That's a clear motive for murder. The LAPD reopened Marilyn's case, citing new evidence. The FBI was forced to declassify documents about their search of Marilyn's house in 1962. Those documents confirmed what William Reed had claimed. The FBI had been looking for photographs of the Kennedys. The authentication held up under scrutiny. Photo experts worldwide confirmed the images were genuine, period accurate, and unmanipulated. But here's the most shocking part. One photo leaked online that wasn't in the original publication. August 2017. Someone anonymously posted one of the unpublished photos on social media. The most explicit one. The one that left no doubt about the physical nature of Marilyn's relationship with JFK. Within hours, it had been viewed 50 million times. The Kennedy family went into crisis mode. They couldn't deny it. They couldn't claim it was fake. The authentication was too solid. Instead, they pivoted. These photos prove Marilyn Monroe was a blackmailer who threatened the Kennedy family. Her death may have been suicide driven by guilt over her attempted extortion. But that argument fell flat, because Marilyn hadn't been trying to extort money. She'd been trying to protect herself from men who'd threatened her. The public sided with Marilyn. Marilyn Monroe took out insurance against the Kennedy brothers by having secret photographs taken of their affairs. When Bobby Kennedy threatened her in July 1962, she showed him those photos. 3 weeks later, she was dead. The FBI immediately raided her house looking for the photos. They found one set, taken by Bobby. But they never found the backup negatives kept by William Reed, the photographer. Reed kept those negatives hidden for 55 years, terrified of Kennedy retaliation. When he died in 2017, his daughter found them and decided the truth mattered more than fear. The photos proved Marilyn had been intimately involved with both JFK and Bobby Kennedy. And they proved she had leverage over both of them. Leverage that made her dangerous. Leverage that may have gotten her killed. In a 2018 interview, Patricia Reed said, "My father lived his whole life afraid of what would happen if he revealed those photos. He was terrified of the Kennedy family, of the government, of powerful people who wanted the truth buried. I understand his fear, but I couldn't let that fear control me." Marilyn deserved for the truth to come out. She took those photos to protect herself, and they should have protected her. The fact that she died anyway, with the photos hidden for 55 years, that's not justice. Publishing them was the least I could do. None of the 14 photos remain unpublished. Too explicit, too intimate. They're kept in a secure vault, available only to law enforcement and serious historians. Patricia Reed refuses to release them publicly. The 3 photos we published prove the affairs happened. That's enough. The rest are too private. Even though everyone involved is dead, they deserve some dignity. But the existence of those 11 photos continues to fuel speculation about just how deeply the Kennedys were involved with Marilyn, and how desperate they might have been to keep her quiet. Today, Marilyn's blackmail photos are considered crucial evidence in understanding her death. They prove she had leverage over the most powerful family in America. They prove she was threatened for using that leverage. And they prove that powerful people had strong motives to silence her permanently. William Reed spent 55 years living in fear. Patricia Reed spent one day deciding to be brave. And that one day of courage finally gave Marilyn Monroe the protection those photos were always meant to provide. Some insurance policies take 55 years to pay out. But when they do, they tell the truth. William Reed, 1924-2017. He photographed the truth, then spent 55 years afraid to show it. Marilyn Monroe, 1926-1962. She tried to protect herself with evidence. They killed her anyway. If you found this story shocking, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation into Marilyn Monroe's hidden truth. Comment below. Should the remaining 11 photos be released to the public, or should they stay private? The photographer captured proof of Marilyn's affairs with the Kennedy brothers, then hid it for 55 years out of fear. When his daughter finally revealed them, the truth about Marilyn's death became impossible to deny.